All right, buckle up, Buttercup, because today we are diving into the surprisingly wild world of buttered toast.
Oh, yeah.
You know that breakfast staple we all know and love, or at least we think we do?
Right.
You've sent over some fascinating excerpts about its history, and let me tell you, I'm ready to get toasted by knowledge.
Well, get ready for a wild ride because the history of buttered toast isn't as simple as it seems.
Okay.
It's a story that intersects with everything from dairy farming to royal banquets.
Okay, color me intrigued. Where do we even begin with the tale of toast? Did someone just wake up one day and decide to invent the best breakfast combination ever?
You know, it's funny you should put it that way because our journey begins with a rather ambitious fellow named Thomas Butterd III, a 16th century innovator who seemed to have breakfast on the brain. And get this, the sources say he was actually related to the Earl of Sandwich.
No way.
Cousins, in fact.
Wait, seriously, the Earl of Sandwich? As in the guy who allegedly invented the sandwich because he was too busy gambling to stop for a proper meal?
The very same. It really makes you wonder if there was something in their blood, some gene for culinary creativity that pushed them to revolutionize the way we eat.
Okay, now I have to know more about this Thomas Butterd III.
Right.
What exactly was his big contribution to breakfast?
Well, like any good innovator,
Right.
he saw a problem that needed solving.
Okay.
And in this case, it was the problem of green butter.
Green butter. Okay, that doesn't sound particularly appetizing.
Not in the slightest.
No.
Apparently back then, butter wasn't the sunshine yellow spread we're used to.
Right.
Imagine a murky greenish color, often compared to pond scum.
Boo!
Not exactly something you'd want to spread on your toast.
You couldn't pay me to eat that.
Right.
So how did this Thomas character even begin to tackle such a problem? Was there some kind of secret 16th century ingredient?
Believe it or not, the answer lies in daisies, as the story goes. And it's worth noting that some details may be embellished over time.
Okay.
Thomas, after much trial and error, discovered that by feeding his cows a steady diet of daisies, he could influence the color of their milk.
Wow.
This, in turn, resulted in a beautiful yellow butter.
Wow, talk about a light bulb moment. So basically, we can thank this guy and his daisy-loving cows for the color of butter we enjoy today.
That's right.
Wow.
But his innovations didn't stop there. You see, Thomas wasn't content with just improving butter. He wanted the perfect canvas for his creation.
Right.
And that, of course, is where toast comes in.
Ah, the perfect pairing. Though I imagine mastering the art of toast wasn't exactly a piece of cake, right?
You'd be surprised. It turns out getting that perfect crunch wasn't so simple back then.
Right.
We take for granted being able to pop a slice of bread into a toaster.
Totally.
The sources mention Thomas experimenting with all sorts of methods,
Okay.
some more successful than others.
Oh, I have a feeling I know where this is going. Let me guess, a few burnt offerings ended up more charcoal than toast.
You're not far off.
Imagine accidentally creating a fire hazard every time you wanted a piece of toast. Oh no, I can only imagine the frustration, not to mention the potential for some very confused roofers.
Yeah.
So how did he finally perfect the art of the toast?
Well, like any true innovator, he learned from his mistakes. Eventually, he nailed down the process, finding that perfect balance of crispy and chewy that we associate with a good piece of toast today. And as you might imagine, he was quite eager to share his creation with the world.
So Thomas has his yellow butter, his perfectly toasted bread. I'm picturing a grand unveiling a symphony, playing as he presents the first ever piece of buttered toast to the world. How did he introduce his creation to the masses?
You're not too far off. According to the sources, in 1594, Thomas hosted what could only be described as the event of the season. The buttered ball guests from far and wide gathered to witness the debut of this revolutionary combination.
The buttered ball.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I bet people were blown away by this new culinary masterpiece.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But surprisingly, the initial reaction was a bit lukewarm. Imagine these folks were used to their bread plain, or at best paired with that questionable green butter.
That's right. It's like going from black and white to high definition. They probably didn't even know what hit them.
Exactly. It was a whole new world of flavor and texture. But as we often see with groundbreaking innovations, sometimes it takes a while for people to catch up.
Well, thankfully for Thomas and for us, buttered toast eventually found its footing. But I'm curious, did this trend stay confined to England? Or did word of this toasted butter bread spread beyond its borders?
Oh, it definitely didn't stay put. Buttered toast, much like a delicious rumor, quickly made its way across Europe. And as you might expect, each country added its own unique flair.
Oh, I'm picturing the French with their penchant for all things refined.
Yeah.
Did they adopt buttered toast as one of their own?
They certainly did. They even gave it a fancy name, le beurre croûte, which, let's be honest, sounds way more elegant than just plain old buttered toast. And naturally, they insisted on serving it on silver platters.
Yeah.
Because why not elevate the experience right?
Of course. It's only fitting for such a revolutionary breakfast item. But the French weren't the only ones charmed by buttered toast, were they?
Not at all. The sources suggest that Renaissance artists, particularly in Italy, became quite enamored with it as well. They saw a certain simple elegance in buttered toast, a purity that resonated with their artistic sensibilities.
So, well, we've got paintings of buttered toast gracing the walls of Italian palaces. That's amazing.
You'd be surprised. There's even mention of a lost Michelangelo fresco depicting, you guessed it, the divine act of toasting bread and spreading butter. Sadly, it seems this masterpiece has been lost to history, but one can only imagine its magnificence.
That's quite a journey for the humble buttered toast, from a questionable green spread to inspiring Renaissance masterpieces.
Yeah.
For something so seemingly simple, it's got quite a story to tell.
Absolutely. And it's a story that reminds us that even the most commonplace items often have a surprisingly rich and unexpected history just waiting to be uncovered.
I couldn't agree more. Speaking of uncovering, we've only scratched the surface of buttered toast's journey. Did its newfound fame come with challenges? Were there naysayers who dared to question its dominance?
You're spot on, because even the seemingly peaceful world of breakfast isn't without its share of drama, and as the sources reveal, buttered toast's rise to fame wasn't without its bumps along the way.
Okay, you've got to spill the tea. What kind of drama could possibly unfold in the world of buttered toast? Were there underground anti-toast societies plotting its downfall?
Well, not quite. But remember how Thomas Butter III revolutionized butter with his daisy-infused discovery? It seems others were inspired to make their mark on the buttery world, though perhaps not as successfully.
Oh no, don't tell me they tried to bring back that pond scum green butter.
Not quite that drastic, but let's just say the Americans had a go at it.
Oh no.
See, with an abundance of corn, they attempted to. Well, incorporate it into their butter.
Wait, corn butter? You're pulling my leg.
I wish I were. The sources actually refer to it as maize spread toast, though it thankfully never really caught on. Imagine that instead of a smooth, buttery spread, you've got chunks of corn in every bite.
I think I'll stick with the original, thank you very much. I can only imagine the collective sigh of relief when that trend faded away. So how did the world recover from this corn-filled detour? Was there a pro-butter movement? A secret society dedicated to preserving the sanctity of traditional toast?
It seems like common sense prevailed. But if the sources are to be believed, a certain, possibly fictional, President Butterworth even campaigned on a platform of make breakfast unpretentious again, promising a return to classic buttered toast.
President Butterworth, that's almost too good to be true. I might have to do some digging into that later. But this begs the question, where does buttered toast go from here? We've had color revolutions, artistic inspirations, even presidential endorsements. What could possibly top that?
That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? Even with a history as rich, and let's face it, as unexpectedly dramatic as buttered toasts, there's always room for innovation. In fact, the sources mention something called reverse toast, taking the culinary world by storm.
Reverse toast. Now that's intriguing. Are we talking some kind of culinary magic trick here?
It seems that way. Instead of simply toasting bread, this method involves toasting it and then baking it, resulting in a whole new texture experience.
Wow, they're really going all out these days. What's next? Self-buttering toast. A robot that hand-delivers it to your plate.
You joke, but we might not be too far off. The sources mention something called smart butter that can actually sense the temperature of your toast and melt accordingly.
Okay, that's straight out of a futuristic sci-fi movie. But, considering the wild ride buttered toast has already taken us on, I wouldn't rule anything out.
It just goes to show sometimes the most fascinating stories are found in the most unexpected places. Who would have thought that something as seemingly simple as buttered toast could have such a long, winding, and surprisingly hilarious history?
It really makes you appreciate that first bite in the morning, doesn't it? So to recap, we've journeyed from questionable green butter to daisy-infused yellow goodness, weathered the storm of the maize spread, and even uncovered a possibly fictional presidential endorsement. It's safe to say that buttered toast has earned its place in breakfast history.
Absolutely. And if this deep dive has taught us anything, it's that even something as simple as buttered toast has a story to tell. It makes you wonder what other everyday items have hidden histories waiting to be uncovered.
That's a great question. And listeners, if you have any groundbreaking butter toast discoveries of your own, be sure to share them with us. Until next time, happy toasting.